Yo, what up, a-holes? Thank you for tuning into the Holistic A-Hole Podcast. My name is Eric Levi, and I'm the Holistic A-Hole, the mommy blogger with balls, the inconvenient truth of health, and a certified holistic nutritional therapy practitioner. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Hope you're having a great day, week, month, year. The summer's over. Ain't it sad? Ain't it sad? No more summer. No more summer. Summertime's over, baby. But look, I live in Puerto Rico, so literally every single day is summer. Every single day is summer. It's sunny every single day. They just want me to be happy every day. Walking on the beach, taking my shirt off, letting my nipples glisten in the sun. Every day it's summer. But for some of you now, it's fall. And some of you will be falling into that depression, seasonal depression, which I personally don't really believe in, but I know it's real. It's like, it's like not believing in Christmas, even though Christmas is real. It's like not believing in Santa, even though Santa is kind of real. It's like I don't believe in seasonal depression. I know people have it. But I understand there's reasons for it, lack of vitamin D from the sunshine glistening on my nipples. People have it because, they don't get outside. You need the sunshine. You need the circadian rhythm. I think that's the big thing. It's like a lot of people just don't see actual daylight throughout the day. And so your circadian rhythm never really fires properly. And so your body's just not producing the right melatonin. You're not getting good sleep. You're sleeping too much, but you're not getting deep, restful sleep. Your brain is a mess. You're missing neurotransmitters. I mean, people are, eating toxic food. So yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into seasonal depression, which is, hey, coming down the pike as we speak. So it's fall time now. And, as seasonal depression kicks in, people start getting even shittier on social media. And that's what I want to talk about today is people being shitty on social media and what's the deal with people being shitty on social media? That's what I want to talk about today because, I am guilty of this myself. I'm very guilty of being shitty on social media at times. And for a long time, it just wasn't, I was in the matrix of being shitty on social media. I've left comments on people's stuff that I'm like, I wouldn't say that to this person. I've made posts where I'm like, I know I'm just doing this to incite conflict. And I've had to pull myself way back from social media, but it still sucks me in. And I'm sitting there wondering, and I'm like, why? Like, why does this happen? Like, why do we have these moments? Like, why am I so drawn to social media? Why do I get such hits of dopamine? Why do I care? If I took online courses and spent the time on online courses or even real courses, and put as much thought into learning things like biochemistry or accounting, or fucking how to do brain surgery or just any useful skill. If I put my time, the time that I spend on social media into learning real skills, I mean, dude, I would be a millionaire by now. I would be the jack of all trades. I'd be the most useful person you've ever met. I could be hired to, fucking build a house, replace your brain, deliver your baby, and make a 5-course meal, a 5-course French meal. If I put into educating myself, the amount of time I put into being on social media and winning arguments on social media, which for the record, I've never won one argument on social media. And chances are, if you're listening to this right now, you can relate. You've most likely never won an argument on social media. You know why? Because it's impossible. It's impossible to win an argument on social media, because if you ever watch social media arguments, be it on Facebook, Twitter, those are really the two big like conflict social media platforms. I think Instagram gets a little conflicty, but it's not like those two, man. It's like I'll turn on Twitter and it's like it's the hate in the tweets I see. YouTube too. YouTube's a big one. But nobody's ever won one of these arguments. And I think if anything, it just reinforces people just digging in to whatever belief they have, which sucks, which really sucks, because if you dig into your belief, a belief you formed years ago, what you're doing is you're basically saying, I have not grown at all in the last couple years. I decided that was my opinion years ago, and I'm doing everything I can to make sure that that opinion never changes. And in a person, that is probably the least endearing quality, the quality of never being able to change your mind. I've talked about it a number of times on this podcast. You know, the idea that one of the most endearing qualities in a person is the fact that you can change your mind, that you can take a topic that you once felt so strongly about, and something happens and you don't resist that thing happening. You accept that it's a fact that it happened, and you allow it to change you. You allow it to affect you. This is how people find enlightenment. This is how people rise to the next level. This is how people, become sober. This is how alcoholics recover. This is how people get out of shitty relationships. This is how people, just face themselves, face their demons, and improve themselves, because they decide at some point that their belief system, that their internal programming is leading them to basically nowhere. And you just decide one day, I not only want a better life, but I want to contribute in society. I want to provide service for people. I want to make the world a better place, even if it's just a little ding, just a slight ding in the overall ocean of the universe. A drop in the bucket of the ocean of the universe. Whatever it is. It's like you can't do that until you allow yourself to change your mind. And on social media, nobody is changing their mind. And now that Facebook or whatever, it's like 15, 16 years old. Instagram's a little older. Twitter's a little older. I think a lot of people have buried themselves in some corners. And I know a lot of people who have basically changed their entire social media existence because they were so hardcore one way and then realized the damage that's done in their life and either just got off completely of social media or just now have a completely opposite profile, which might not be the best. Sometimes maybe it's just best to just leave. I've taken plenty of, Facebook breaks. There's nothing more refreshing than just not looking at Facebook for me for like a couple weeks. Because it's a habit. They've designed these platforms to be addicting. They know what they're doing. Look, you cannot be a $1 billion industry without using psychology. You cannot be a $1 billion company without having some kind of position where this person or people or group or team is using psychological techniques to enhance the addictiveness of their product so that they can sell more product. And that's what Twitter is. That's what Facebook. They realized nothing is more addicting than that timeline. And nothing is more addicting on that timeline than triggering events. And so Facebook, we know their algorithm is set up so that at the top of the algorithm goes the most engaging posts, which in a lot of instances means the most conflicting posts, the posts with the most conflict, right? Because you have those people who go out there and they're like, hey, what's something great you did today? And then people will just be like, oh, I went to the park. Oh, I spent time with my kids. Oh, I got dessert at my favorite dessert place, But a lot of people will just go on there and be like, MAGA people are idiots. And then you just get 50 100 fucking comments, and each comment has 50 comments in those comments. And Facebook's like, well, it's a lot of engagement right there. We're going to put that to the top of the timeline. And so you don't see the people who are just kind of out there, like maybe even just saying something positive, like, hey, it was nice to, to bring my kid to the park today. And nobody gives a shit about that stupid post. So I sit there and I wonder, why do I have to check Facebook so much? Why do people get so caught up in it? Look at the people who are the most active on social media too. What's going on in their lives? I know very successful people who spend a lot of time on social media and they talk a lot of shit, and somehow they're still doing well. But the majority of people who spend a lot of time on social media talking shit, at least like in my feed, there are a lot of like open mic comedians. They're in their late 30s. Some of them, a lot of them might be in their early 40s. And life has just passed them by, right? Like their whole life is about go on Facebook, talk a bunch of shit, and then at night you go do a show at a bar for 3 people with the, with the thought in your mind that like, oh, I'm going to be a famous comedian one day. Oh, it's just nobody's discovered me yet. And so how do I go? How do I continue to make myself? No, I go just be a piece of shit on social media. I know this, and in your world, you might have that, but of a different variation. Like if you work for a software company, maybe you got a software engineer who's just a piece of shit, who hates a software job, but he's just doing it because he's got student loan debt, whatever it is. And, the way that he kind of feels some sort of acceptance is to go on social media and to troll, to express his or her, oh, there's plenty of hers doing this, through social media. And so I think about this stuff. I'm like, why do people do this? Like, why are we doing this? Why are we not bettering ourselves? Why are we just sinking to these low places? And it finally clicked recently to my own theory of why I think people do this and why social media and being shitty on social media is so appealing. And it actually comes from the teachings of my fave, Tony Robbins. Now, I know for some of you, the name Tony Robbins, it's a little triggering, right? Because some of you hear Tony Robbins and you think like, oh, it's just like a snake oil motivational speaker. It's just a guy who's he's just a salesman. He just goes around and he just tells people, think positive and jump around and clap your hands. You're going to feel great, right? And granted, there was a little bit to that. And granted, there's a little bit of snake oily stuff in there. But the overall work of someone like Tony Robbins speaks for itself. I don't need to sit here and convince anybody of how of the great work that someone like Tony Robbins has done. He's got, billions of dollars worth of social proof that he's very good at what he does. And he works with, the highest performers in the world. The most important leaders, the biggest athletes in the world, the military. You name it. This guy works. There's a reason he can charge $1 million an hour to work with people because his teachings are that great. And at the core of his teachings is this idea of the 6 human needs. Now, I find this interesting because, we're always trying to frame our psychology, right? And I'm not a psychology person. I can't tell. I don't know what Maslow did. I couldn't tell you the difference between Freud and Jung or whatever this guy's name is. I actually had to repeat Psych 101 when I was a freshman in college. Okay, this is not like the academics of this. I don't know, but I am interested to know the actual like on the street psychology of people, right? And I always like to take human conditions and frame them. And so what Tony has is what he calls the 6 human needs. And so these are what he says are the 6 things, the 6 needs that everybody needs to be happy, right? And so not all of them are going to be positive. We all react to them in different ways, but the 6 human needs are what we all express in some way throughout our lives to basically bring us to what we feel we want in life. Now, at the top of these are certainty, uncertainty, and significance. So what does that mean, right? So certainty is just like we want to go about our day knowing that things are the way they are. Like we need them to basically reinforce the idea that our habits, that the things we do, it brings us certainty, right? So like if you smoke cigarettes all, throughout the day or every day, or maybe you smoke a couple times a week or whatever. A lot of people, obviously, cigarettes, nicotine is physically addicting. But for a lot of people, cigarettes are not physically addicting. I smoked cigarettes for I had like a year or two where I was smoking cigarettes. Not a lot, but like when I'd go out at night, on the weekends or whatever. I was what they call a social smoker. So, and I hated cigarettes. I physically couldn't smoke cigarettes. I can smoke weed. I can smoke. My body has an affinity for weed, but cigarette smoke, for some reason, I can't do it. Like my body just doesn't work. Like I'll take a drag on a cigarette and it will go in my throat and I'll just cough or I'll just feel nauseous. Anytime I have nicotine, it just makes me feel gross. I've smoked joints with people who roll them with tobacco, and I just can't. As much as I love weed, I can't smoke the joint. It just makes me dizzy. It makes me sick. It just doesn't work with my body. But even that didn't stop me from smoking cigarettes when I go out at night. And so I look at people who say they're in the same boat, where they say things like, oh, I could quit cigarettes tomorrow. It's not a physical addiction for me. But yet they don't quit smoking cigarettes, right? Why? Because a cigarette at your break at work, when you come home from work, maybe on the weekend. For me, it was like when I'd go out and drink, I'd stand on the patio and I'd smoke a cigarette. Why do I do that? Why do you do that? Because it's a certainty. Because it gives you that feeling that, oh, we know this pattern. Oh, this is where we're supposed to be. I've got my certainty. I know that, just as like maybe in our reptilian brain, we know that certainty gives us the survival skill of knowing the sun's going to come up tomorrow. So we have to go to bed at a certain time so that we can make sure the sun comes up, right? This is what makes it so we don't freak out and panic every time the sun goes down. Like, oh my God, is the sun going to come up tomorrow? We know it's going to come up tomorrow. Certainty. We need that, right? We have foods that we eat that give us certainty, like sometimes we'll go out to eat, and every time you go out to a restaurant, no matter if it's McDonald's, the Outback, or Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, you're going to order a burger because that's your safe place. That certainty. You have that, right? Maybe you have certain music you listen to and you're like, I only like classic rock music, or I only like hip hop music. And every time I listen to music, I listen to that. You don't ever listen to other stuff. You just have your music. Or some people like me, I have songs. I have only a handful of songs. I just listen to them all the time. I love the songs, but they also give me a sense of certainty. And so that's what social media is. Social media is certainty. How is it certainty? Because it's there. Because that no matter what you've got going on in your life, no matter where you are, because it's on your phone, you can always look at your phone, you can always look at your laptop, your computer, whatever it is, your watch, and Facebook's there. And people are on there talking about things. Not only are they talking about things, but they're talking about the things that They're talking about things like Trump, Russia. They're talking about global warming. They're talking about, whatever sports story is out there, right? This is why they run the same 3 stories all throughout the day on the news or on SportsCenter, because they know people need that certainty. They're not going to veer off from the top stories of the day because they know that people want to see the quote-unquote top stories of the day. I think it was like 2 days ago. This is Labor Day weekend. There was a story about a fire on a boat in California somewhere, and 35 people died, and it's heartbreaking. I didn't read the story. I can't get into bad news like that. But I look at that story and I'm like, that's tragic. That's terrible. But why do I have to know this? Why do I have to know that story? Like why is it that I must know that off the coast of California, where I don't live, where I have zero financial interest, I have zero political interest, I have literally zero interest in what goes on in California, let alone off the coast of California, let alone in this little harbor, let alone dealing with anybody who was on that boat, right? I know it sounds cruel to say, and I'm not saying I don't care about those people. It's very, very sad what happened. But at the same time, I don't care about those people. I don't care about that event. There's 7 billion people on the planet Earth, and I can only keep my mind focused on what's going on with so many of these people. So why is it that that's the story now that just gets circulated on the news all day? And now they need experts to come talk to it because it's certainty. Because they decided that was the story that everybody has to care about. And that's the story they're just going to keep showing and showing and showing and showing. Why? Who knows? Who knows why? To keep you distracted so you don't actually look into what should really be important to you, which is what's going on with your tax dollars, the money you're actually physically losing when you work, right? Why are you still stuck in the same job you've had for years that you hate, right? That's also a sense of certainty. You know, just going to the same job over and over and over again that you hate, that you know you hate going to it. You make excuses like, well, I have these student loans. Well, you know what you could do? You could just, I don't know, not pay your student loans. You don't have to pay them. What are they going to do? Well, they're going to smash your credit and you have to file for bankruptcy. But you know what happens in bankruptcy? Fucking nothing. Imaginary shit. Imaginary shit happens. You don't pay any more money. You just basically say, well, I got this debt, needs to be restructured. I'm basically trading in the ability to use my credit to buy more shit that I don't need. What is it? I'm trading in the ability to use credit to buy shit I don't need for the ability to just be done paying for the original thing I got that I didn't need, which was the debt from your student loan. You could just do that, but people don't. Why? Because they need the certainty of being in debt. They need the certainty of going to the job. They need the certainty of waiting in traffic. They need the certainty of sitting in traffic and going to Facebook to get that dopamine hit. Why would you get a dopamine hit from just looking at a screen with people who you haven't talked to for years arguing about some shit that literally makes no difference in your life? Because of certainty. Because this is one of your 6 human needs. This is at the top of your 6 human needs. You need the certainty. You need to see people you don't give a shit about trigger you to get in arguments about things that really don't make a difference at all in your life. And so how do you act out? How do you make your voice known? Well, you comment, right? Or you write some shit that you know is going to piss people off. You write some shit about the topic of the day and your opinion of it. And your opinion could be informed, but most opinions aren't informed. Your opinion is basically a parrot off of something you've heard throughout the day on one of these news programs pertaining to the news story that you're talking about. And so the opinion has already been stated. The opinion is already out there. You're just basically reinforcing your support for opinion. Why do you do this? Because you're filling another of the 6 human needs, the second, maybe tied for equally top of the 6 human needs, which is significance. You need to feel significant. We all need to feel significant, right? So that's why we comment. That's why we start fights. That's why we put out an opinion, even though the opinion we have might not matter. This is why you see so many people on Twitter double speak. You know, this is why people are getting called out for things they said years ago on Twitter that they obviously didn't mean, right? Like people write things that are homophobic years ago. They wrote it, whatever. Why? It was probably a joke gone bad, or maybe they felt like that, but they didn't feel like that. They just wrote it because they were like, I need to keep pace with being relevant on Twitter because I've got, I don't know, 100 followers, 10,000 followers, 10 million followers, whatever it is. I have to make sure that they know that I'm still here, that I'm not only here, but that I can be polarizing, that I can write stuff that's going to make people react. That's significance. I was a victim of significance for years because my life was all about just getting on stage and telling jokes to be a pretty princess. That's what I call it now. It's like most comedians, I mean, there's literally like 10 really good comedians out there, and you've heard of them all. But then there's 10,000 comedians that you'll never hear of that are not as good. Some are great, but you'll never hear of them. But most of them are terrible. And why are they doing this? What is it about comedy that people do it and they do it for no money for years, sleeping on strangers' couches, sleeping in your car, going from club to club, putting yourself out there in front of strangers while they, buy 2 drinks and maybe like a plate of chicken wings or something, and you got to make these people laugh. They're never going to remember your name. Why do you do that? Because you need to feel significance. That's why comedy is such an addicting drug. It was for me, it still is. I still think about it all the time. I did it for years. I did it for high stakes. I did it for low stakes. Oh, not that high stakes, but I did it for crowds of people. And it filled me with immense joy, and it filled me with even deeper fucking hatred. But it was such an emotional roller coaster because I did it, and I didn't know this at the time, but I was doing it because I needed to feel this essential human need of significance. And this is what people are doing on social media all the time. They're just posting shit, getting people riled up, making lewd comments about things, saying things, using language that they would never use in real life. I know people. I know the people, a lot of them that are on my feed. I've talked to these people. I've hung out with them. I've driven in cars with them. I've taken subway rides with them. I've gone on long walks with these people. I've been through the trenches with these people. And here I am fighting with these people about shit on social media. Why? Because of significance. Because there's a piece of me that needs to make sure that they know that, that they know I'm here. Right? Maybe this goes back to, thousands of years ago when we were, cavemen or whatever, and you had the tribes and you needed to be in the tribe, because if you weren't in the tribe, that meant that this was like a life and death thing. You need to be in the tribe. You need people to know that you're here so that they can feed you, clothe you, make you a part of the community so that you don't feel outcasted. So if you're by yourself, well, now you're vulnerable. There's nothing scarier than being vulnerable. So you need to make people know that you're significant. You need to make yourself know that you're significant. This is why fame is so alluring. People would take fame over money. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? People would take fame over money. Fame doesn't pay your bills. You can be famous. You can do some dumb shit and have your face all over the news. There's the guy, the Bagel Boss guy, right? This dude who, this short dude who was in New York, and he went to a bagel place and started, yelling on camera about somebody was filming him while he was talking shit about, can't get a date because women are pretentious and they make fun of him for being short. You know what I mean? And then that guy was famous. That guy was everywhere, right? Now he can fill comedy clubs now because he's the Bagel Boss guy. What a humiliating thing to be known for. What a humiliating experience to be known for. To be the guy who people just know is like the short, angry guy who got mad in a bagel shop one day. It took no talent to do that. It took not years of hard work. It wasn't 10,000 hours put into going around the bagel shops and getting mad at people, spending years and years just yelling about people about being a short guy who can't get a date because women are pretentious cunts. Just years and years. And then finally you get your big break and now you can sell out comedy clubs. You can live like a king. No. But that guy is living large with no money. No more money than he had. Maybe he's got a little bit more money. But that's how fucking crazy significance is. People would rather be famous and be known, whether it's for good or bad, than to have money. Because there's plenty of millionaires you've never heard of. There's plenty of 100 millionaires you've never heard of. There's plenty of billionaires you've never heard of. There's people who have millions of dollars because they've opened up, print shops or carpet cleaning businesses or, online directories or, software technicians or whatever. They've got millions of dollars, but you've never heard of them. And people would not take that. If I told you, look, I'm going to set you up with $1 million business. And all it is it's just a print shop. You're going to have print shops all over the city you live. Everyone's going to come to you. They're going to print their posters, their banners. You're going to get the biggest contracts in the city. All you got to do is just own a print shop. That's it. And you're going to make a ton of money. You're going to be able to buy whatever house you want to buy. You can drive whatever car you want to drive. You can you have a beautiful wife or husband or whatever your preference is. You can have beautiful kids. You can send them to the best schools. But all you got to do is run a print shop. There's nothing fancy about it. Just going to go to work every day. That's all you're going to do. You're going to print. And I would be willing to bet you most people would not take that. Versus being like an Instagram star, having 1 million followers on Instagram. Now, granted, you can monetize that and you can do whatever, but you can be an Instagram star, just be the guy who just like runs up to people and pokes them in the eye. And you got 1 million followers. Or you'd be the Bagel Boss guy, right? Significance. So this is, in my opinion, what is driving people being really shitty to each other on social media. And look, I'm trying to work on this myself because I'm the a-hole. I'm the holistic a-hole. And I go on social media and I can be real. I've left comments on things to people, who I would actually really there's people I've talked shit to on social media and I feel really stupid because now I want to work with those people. Now I'm trying to get those people on my podcast. Now I'm trying to get on their podcasts. And so it didn't do me any good. I got caught up in this the other day. I wrote some stuff, it wasn't like really talking shit, but it was just like, I know this is going to get a reaction. And I wrote it. And then the next day I woke up and I'm like, do I really just want to argue with these people all day about this? So I deleted it. That's the beauty of Facebook too. You can just delete shit. I'm not going to sit there and leave it up just so I can spend my day defending a belief that I kind of more did because I knew it would get a reaction. We're all doing this shit. We're all doing it. And look, if you're not doing this, dude, you are on top of it. You are winning the game. If you're one of these people who doesn't go on social media and talk shit and you just kind of mind your business and just do your thing and you post pictures of your kids and your puppies and you're like, this is what I do, this is fine, or your successes, whatever, like that's how you should do it. That's what social media is. This is a marketing platform. This is not, it is an arguing platform for sure. But, we all know why we're doing this. We're doing it for control or certainty, and we're doing it for significance. And I think if you know those two things, you might start changing your view of how you use social media. And believe it or not, if you can fix your habits, your bad social media habits, you might start getting more hours in your day. You might start, creating really cool shit. You might free up your mind space that you were spending getting triggered on social media to create and to invent and innovate and do the things that make life so amazing. Thank you all for taking this sweet, delicious ride with me today. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you find some significance and control or certainty in these podcasts. If you enjoyed the podcast, please remember to subscribe. Go on to iTunes, leave a 5-star review. Make sure you share the podcast with those you love. And if you're new here, go back through and listen to old Holistic A-Hole episodes. I've got stuff on health, on happiness, holistic wellness, and soon going to be having some more stuff on mindfulness. So thanks so much for listening, everybody. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.